Okay, strap in everyone. Today we are going deep on something pretty wild. AI model swarms. You know I love this cutting-edge AI stuff. And this is some next-level stuff.
It's a pretty cool approach. It's like taking what we see in nature, collective intelligence, like ants, or like flocks of birds, and we're applying it to AI.
So we are talking AI swarms, not birds and ants. So like, what are these model swarms?
So imagine a whole bunch of AI models, each with,
Yeah.
their own strengths and weaknesses, all coming together to solve a problem. Instead of using one, like, huge model, we're using this team of AI, experts, I
It's
guess.
a dream team of AI, all bringing different things to the table.
Exactly. And the cool thing is that they can actually get better at their tasks without tons of new data. That's the real magic here. We're basically finding shortcuts to improve the AI.
Whoa, wait. Less data, better result. How is that even possible?
So think about it like this. Each AI model in the swarm is like a particle, and its location shows its specific abilities. This whole setup, we call this the ability space.
Okay, I'm seeing it. So we have this swarm of AI particles,
Yeah.
all floating around in a space that maps their skills. What next?
Well, each particle has a utility function, which basically means it knows how good it is at the task. And then, as the swarm is doing its thing, these particles move around in the ability space, always trying to improve how they're doing.
So if a model is doing well, it moves to a better spot in the space.
hmm
If it's having trouble, it tries something different.
Yeah. And here's the swarm part. These models aren't just working by themselves, they're always learning from each other, like sharing information about what's working and what isn't.
So they are all helping each other level up? Are they like whispering secrets to each other or something? How do they actually talk to each other and learn?
Haha, it's not whispering, but it is communication. So there are two main ideas here, personal best and global best. So imagine a bird in a flock finds a great spot for food. It remembers that location, that's its personal best. And then when the rest of the flock sees that bird is doing great, they all start checking out that area. And that's based on the global best.
Ah, so it's like they are always discovering things and then sharing what they learned. Like
Right.
one model finds a good approach and the other's saying, hey, maybe I'll try that too.
Exactly. And this whole process, this learning together, is how model swarms can improve so much, even without needing a ton of new data. It's like we are unlocking some hidden potential through teamwork.
I'm starting to see the magic now, but let's get to what they can do. Give me some examples. What can these model swarms actually do?
Well, the research is still new, but it has tons of potential. In their paper, the researchers from the University of Washington and Google tested model swarms on all kinds of tasks.
Cool. So what happened? Did they actually live up to all the hype?
I'd say they did better than expected. They tried them on single tasks, like, solving logic puzzles, answering trivia questions. And these model swarms, they crushed the benchmarks, even with very little data.
Whoa. So they're already beating the traditional models at individual tasks. So what about like more complex stuff, things that need multiple skills or areas of expertise? Can model swarms handle that kind of juggling act?
That's where it gets really interesting. They found that model swarms are really good at complex fields like medicine, law, science.
All right.
And they do this by getting really good at many related skills all at the same time. It's like having an AI that can be a doctor, a lawyer, and a scientist all in one.
Wait, so we're talking AI that can like diagnose illnesses, understand legal papers, and analyze scientific data all at once. That sounds like something from like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing about model swarms. They can use all the specialized knowledge of individual models, and then they combine them in ways we never thought were possible before.
Okay, so we've got model swarms doing single tasks and also crushing these complex multitask things with amazing results. What else do they look at in this research?
Well, they even found that model swarms can like adapt to specific preferences. So let's say you want an AI that gives you really detailed, comprehensive answers. The swarm can adapt to that. Or let's say you prefer short, simple answers. The swarm can do that too.
So it's like having an AI that gets your communication style and, adjusts how it talks to you. That's so cool. I can already see so many ways we could use that to personalize our AI assistants and tools.
Exactly. And it opens up this whole new world where we can tailor AI to people's individual needs and preferences.
So we've talked about how model swarms work, how they learn, how well they perform. I think now's the time to talk about the why. Why should our listeners who are already pretty into tech care about model swarms? What's the big picture here?
That's a great question, and it gets to the heart of why I find this research so fascinating. Model swarms are a fundamental change in how we think about developing AI. We're not just building big, more powerful models. We're exploring this power of collaboration and diversity.
So it's not just about brute force computation anymore. It's about finding smarter, more efficient ways to leverage the collective intelligence of all these AI agents.
Yes, exactly. And I think this shift has the potential to, revolutionize not just AI, but how we approach complex problems in general. Think about the problems we face as a society: climate change, healthcare, education. Maybe the key to solving these things is to embrace the idea of collaboration and diversity, just like what we're seeing with these model swarms.
That dude, we always focus on individual genius and competition, but maybe the big breakthroughs will come from, finding ways to use the combined wisdom of a diverse group. Now, you mentioned earlier how model swarms have this magic to unlock new abilities. Can you tell me more about that? What makes this different from traditional AI?
Well, one of the coolest things they found is this thing called correctness emergence. They saw that these swarms, they didn't just share knowledge between models. They actually helped the models to solve problems that none of them could do alone. It's like the swarm itself is creating something totally new, something that's greater than all the parts combined.
Whoa, so it's not just combining what they already know, but creating something totally new through collaboration. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And it gets even crazier. The more diverse the group of AI experts, the better the results. This tells us that having different perspectives, even those that seem weaker, is crucial to getting the most out of these model swarms.
That's powerful. It's like saying don't underestimate anyone because you never know what they might bring to the table. It also makes me think about diversity on human teams too. When you have people from different backgrounds with different skills working together, you get more creative and innovative solutions.
Exactly. And it looks like the same is true for AI. Model swarms are better when they are diverse because it lets them, explore more possibilities and learn from each other in more meaningful ways. It challenges the idea of just focusing on building one giant AI model.
This is why I love talking about this cutting edge AI. It makes you think about what's possible. And a lot of times it shows us something about ourselves too. So we talked about how model swarms work, how well they do, and the magic of this correctness emergence thing. But did the researchers find anything else that surprised them about how these swarms work? Were there any unexpected things that, made them rethink what they thought?
Actually, yeah. They found something they called the diamond in the rough phenomenon.
Okay, that sounds interesting. What's that about?
Well, you'd think that the model that's the best in the end was probably, one of the better models at the start, the one that had the most knowledge or the most advanced design.
Yeah, that makes sense. The stars rise to the top.
But that wasn't always what happened. A lot of times, the model that became the best didn't start out as the strongest. It was like finding a hidden gem, a model that seemed average or even kind of bad at first, but then it just blossomed when it could work with others and learn.
That's really cool. It says that even models that seem, not that great can become incredible if they have the right environment and the right collaborators. It's sometimes all someone needs is the right team and the right opportunity to reach their full potential.
Absolutely. It makes us rethink the idea of judging models based on how well they do at the beginning. And it shows how powerful collaborative learning can be. It can bring out the best in each model, even the ones that might have been, overlooked or underestimated.
This reminds me of that study where they gave kids a puzzle they couldn't solve. By themselves, they all struggled. But when they worked together, sharing ideas and stuff, they solved it.
It shows how amazing collective intelligence is, and model swarms seem to be, tapping into that in a way we haven't seen before in AI. It's like a reminder that sometimes the most innovative solutions don't come from one brilliant person. They come from the synergy of a diverse group working together towards a shared goal. It really is. We can learn so much from just observing nature and then taking those ideas and using them in AI, this whole collective intelligence thing, harnessing the power of a diverse group, It seems like that's a big part of a lot of the exciting stuff happening in AI right now.
It makes you think, have we been too focused on building these huge, powerful AI models?
Yeah.
When maybe the real key is, working together and having that diversity.
I think that's a really smart observation. And that leads us to another really interesting part of this research, this idea that model swarms could democratize AI development.
Democratize AI. Okay, now I'm really interested. What does that mean, practically?
Well, right now, if you want to build those like cutting-edge AI models, you need a ton of computing power, data, and resources. It's really a game for, the
Yeah.
big tech companies and research groups with lots of funding.
True. That makes it hard for smaller teams, startups, or just, independent researchers who might have great ideas but just
Hmm.
don't have the resources to compete.
Right. But with model swarms, you don't need to build a massive model from nothing. You can use a collection of smaller, more focused models that are, out there already and
Right.
relatively easy to fine tune for specific things.
So instead of building a whole AI empire, you're putting together a team of
Yeah.
all-stars from different teams.
That's a great way to put it. And this
Right.
could, make things more fair. So smaller players can contribute to AI without needing those huge data sets or tons of computing power.
That would be awesome. Imagine a world where brilliant AI people from anywhere in the world, no matter their background, could help push AI forward. It would make the whole AI scene so much more diverse and dynamic.
It's a really exciting idea, right? And it fits with this whole, diversity thing we've been talking about. It's not just about having different models in a swarm. It's also about diversity in the people and teams making this technology.
Speaking of diversity, you said earlier how the more diverse the AI experts, the better the swarm does.
Yeah.
Why is that? What makes diversity so important for these swarms to be successful?
Okay, so think of it this way. If all the models in a swarm are trained on the same data with the same, strengths and weaknesses, they're not going to learn that much from each other. It's like having a room full of people who all agree on everything. You're not going to get many new ideas or challenge what people think.
Like that saying, two heads are better than one, but only if,
Mm-hmm.
those two heads have different ideas and experiences, right?
Exactly. The research showed that the more diverse the group of AI experts, the better the swarm did at, solving tough problems, adapting to new stuff, and even finding solutions that no single model could have come up with.
This reminds me of how important diversity is for human teams, too. When you have people from different backgrounds, with different skills and ways of thinking,
Sure.
working together, you usually end up with more creative and innovative solutions.
It's like a basic rule of creativity and innovation. You need to share ideas, challenge what you think you know, and blend different perspectives. And it seems that this is true in AI, too. Model swarms do better when they are diverse because it allows them to explore more possibilities and learn from each other in deeper ways. It challenges the idea of just trying to build one, like perfect AI model.
So it's not enough to have a bunch of smart AI models. You need smart AI models that are different from each other, that bring different things to the table.
Exactly. And that brings up a good question. How do you even measure the diversity of a model swarm? It's not as easy as just counting how many models are in it.
Good point. It's not just how many, but
Mm-hmm.
what kind of differences, what range of perspectives they have, the quality of the diversity, I guess. So how did the researchers measure diversity in these model swarms?
They used a couple of different ways to measure the different aspects of diversity in these swarms. One way was to look at the range of tasks or, fields that the models were trained on. So like a swarm with models specialized in language translation and image recognition and music generation, that would be more diverse than a swarm where all the models were just trained on text stuff.
That makes sense. You want to make sure the swarm has a variety of skills and knowledge, just like a good team of, human experts.
Mhm.
Did they look at anything else besides the tasks or domains?
Yeah, they also looked at the architecture of the models. So a swarm with models built using different kinds of neural networks, different learning algorithms, different designs, that would be more diverse than a swarm where all the models have the same
Basic.
structure.
So it's not just what the models know, the data they trained on. It's also about how they think, how they process information. It's like having different cognitive styles,
Exactly. And this architectural diversity seems to be, just as important as the other kind when it comes to making the model swarms better.
It's like having a team with, specialists and generalists all bringing their own strengths.
Yeah.
You need both to really tackle tough problems.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. This whole idea of model swarms, it really changes how we think about AI. It's not about making one all-powerful AI that can do everything. It's about, using collaboration, diversity, and collective intelligence.
It's a shift from focusing on one brilliant individual to using the power of a team. And it makes you wonder, if these AI models can do such amazing things by working together, what could we humans do if we, really embrace those same ideas.
That's a really deep thought. We often get so caught up in competition and, individual success, but maybe the real way to solve the world's problems is to find ways to work together better, to use the collective wisdom and different perspectives of all of us.
Imagine what we could do if we could use the collective intelligence of, like, all of humanity, in the same way model swarms use the intelligence of their models. It's pretty amazing to think about, and it gives me hope for the future.
Me too. And I think that's a great place to stop for now.
Okay, so before we get too carried away with all the, amazing possibilities, we should remember that there are still challenges and limitations to this technology. It's still pretty early days.
For sure, like any new field in AI, there's still a lot to figure out and obstacles to overcome before model swarms become like a common tool for solving real problems.
So let's talk about those challenges. What are like the biggest things holding back model swarms right now?
Well, one big one is scalability. The research we've been discussing has mostly been done with, small swarms, dozens, maybe hundreds of models.
Hmm.
But what if you want to swarm with thousands or even millions?
Yeah, that sounds like it would take a ton of computing power. All those models, all those particles, all, interacting.
Right, and that's one of the big roadblocks right now. People are working on like ways to make the algorithms faster and use less computing power. But it's still early days. If we want these swarms to be really useful, we need to make them more efficient and scalable.
That makes sense. Something else I'm thinking about, and maybe I'm just being, cautious, but what about like reliability and trust? How do we know these model swarms, especially as they get bigger and more complex? How do we know they're giving us accurate and, unbiased answers?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something researchers are thinking about a lot. We talked about how these swarms can discover new stuff and solve problems that, individual models can't. But with that power, we got to make sure the stuff they're coming up with is valid and trustworthy.
It's like that saying, garbage in, garbage out. If the models in the swarm are trained on bad data or like incomplete data, the results they give us might be messed up too.
Exactly. So researchers are coming up with ways to, like, check the reliability and fairness of the results from these swarms. Things like using lots of different ways to measure how good the results are, testing the swarms on lots of different data sets to see if they're biased, and even getting feedback from humans to make sure everything is, on track.
So it sounds like making sure these swarms are trustworthy is just as important as building the technology itself.
Right.
We don't just want AI that's powerful. We want AI that helps society, not hurts it or, misleads people.
Absolutely. And that means really thinking about the ethical side of this tech, just like with any powerful AI. Transparency, accountability, fairness, all these things are super important when we're building and using these model swarms.
It's a good reminder that AI isn't just about the tech. It's also about people and, how it affects society. We need to think about the impact it has on everyone's lives and make sure it's used in a good way.
I completely agree. And I think this whole discussion about model swarms shows us something bigger about how AI is changing. We're moving past this idea of just building, bigger and more powerful AI. Now it's about elaboration, diversity, and collective intelligence. These are becoming the really important ideas in AI.
It's like a shift from, focusing on one genius to embracing the power of a whole team. And it makes you wonder, if these AI models can do such amazing things working together, what could we humans achieve if we really took that to heart?
That's a really profound thought. We get so competitive, always trying to be the best individually, but maybe the real key to solving the big problems is figuring out how to work together better, to use all the wisdom and different points of view that humanity has to offer.
Imagine if we could tap into the intelligence of all of humanity, the same way these model swarms use the intelligence of all their models. That's a powerful idea, and it gives me hope.
Me too. And I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of model swarms.
It's been awesome. And to our listeners, we'd love to hear what you think. What are some ways you could use a personalized AI swarm? Let us know on social media, because this is just the beginning of a whole new chapter in AI.